Vossa Excelência, acabei de receber notícia de que chegou às nossas portas um diplomata. Um diplomata? Sim, meu lord, ele alega ter partido da Magna Colónia e viajado 7 luas para chegar à vossa presença, com o desejo de vos revelar uma importante mensagem. Estou a ver. Poderá entrar. Claro, meu lord. Saudações, embaixador. Ouvi dizer que vós tendes uma importante mensagem para me transmitir. Como se atreve? Isto é... O quê? I like bugs. Actually, I like tiny animals in general, but we're gonna stick to bugs for this video. Most of the time, they're just goofy old critters crawling through the dirt like the tiny biological robots they are. And they come in many shapes and sizes. Some pretty cool ones are the miraculous ladybugs, and the grasshoppers, and the moths, and the dragon fleas, and the fire fleas, and the butterflies, and also the bicho da conta, which I'm not going to translate into English because there are way too many names for it. But as simple as it would be to just rate all the bugs mentioned in the video into a tier list, I'm not going to do that. While with certain bugs, my relationship is rather nuanced and just barely complex enough to turn into a 12-minute video. So please strap in and prepare yourself for a tour of my diplomatic relations with the many-legged powers that be. So, when's the car starting? Oh, don't worry, they're probably getting more caterpillar sick. What? Yeah, caterpillar sick. Did you know that it shares many of the same properties as gasoline? That doesn't... How do you even make a caterpillar sick? I know, right? It's so hard, and expensive too, you have to get a lot of them. That's not what I meant. Let's start off with an interesting, possibly controversial one. Bees! And boy, oh boy, they sure are the bee's knees, am I right? The bee's knees... I'm hijacking this stupid car. What the... I would say that me and the bees are on pretty good terms. I don't see them a lot, but when I do, I make sure to treat them with the utmost respect. And not only because they'll sting me out of fear if I don't and die afterwards. You've probably heard this like 10 to the power of 42 times, but bees are probably the most active and probably most important pollinators we have, and without them we would probably be starving to death probably. So all things considered, I have no choice but to be their ally. Pun not intended! Right next to the Apitic Commonwealth, we can find their closely related neighbors in the hive mind state of Vespula, the wasps. I don't see them very often either, but my relations with these fellows are a bit more strenuous. I first heard about their destructive potential in elementary school, 2nd grade I think. I was just chilling, doing stuff I guess, until one of my friends told me this.
Hey, sabias que vespas são tipo bué da más? Olha que uma picada pode matar cavalo.
Quick intermission here, this is only true if the horse is allergic to wasp stings. It'll suffer an anaphylactic shock just like an allergic human would. I didn't know this, however, and as soon as those words vibrated into my ear canal, I was shocked. Petrified at the thought of all the damage that a single sting from this insect could create. And from that day onward, I always froze completely solid whenever one of these just decided to whiz around nearby. Cause I didn't want to die. However, I grow more courageous with every sunrise, and perhaps one day, far into the future, I may sacrifice myself to defend a fellow human from one of these ferocious creatures. Or I'll just spring. Overall, I'd classify my diplomatic ties with wasps as, please be careful, they have nukes. Now that we've taken a closer look at these stinging buzzers, we may now move on to their usually smaller earthbound cousins. You know, the ones, the dirt diggers, the crumb lovers. They hate each other and themselves. Why, I'm talking about ants, of course. There are lots of different ants, but the species that I, and likely you as well, interact with on an almost daily basis is the Argentine ant. Do ants speak Spanish? Dunno, but they are an interesting bunch, that's for sure. Remember the intro from earlier? No, dear viewer, it wasn't simply a funny segue into the video, though frankly the funny aspect of it is pretty debatable, but that's besides the point, because what I really need to tell you is how it was actually inspired by real events. Elaborate, you cry? Then allow me to enlighten you with the long, annoying history of the Lenepetheme Crusades. Picture this. You wake up, warm and cozy in your bed. After blinking your tired eyes for a few seconds, your 11-ish-year-old brain finishes booting up and remembers it's time for school. Kinda lame, but okay, whatever. As you gather the mental strength to abandon the heavenly embrace of your bedsheets, you suddenly feel a light tingle on your cheek. Raising your hand to scratch the itch away, you notice that a humble ant was cluelessly standing on your face the whole time. Oh hi, how did you get here, you think to yourself, before getting up to find a handful more ants all over your arms, and your legs, and your bed, and your entire room as you can only stare in helpless awe and horror, while entire regiments of ants march in unprovoked, finding their way into any corner with even a speck of organic matter. You can feel them. It's terrifying. You instinctively flinch, trying to shake all the insects away from your body as you speed out of your bedroom, only to find that the main corridor and the kitchen where you have breakfast are also filled with long lines of tiny arthropod soldiers. You beg, oh beg your superiors for assistance, and some mere minutes later, you would witness the greatest massacre of your life. Hundreds of ants would perish against an army of powerful, uncaring wet wipes, dragged away with every long, bloody stroke on the wooden floor, dozens of soldiers destroyed at a time, their chemical pathways erased like a call for help, written on the sands of a windy desert, until eventually, the towel would become so overloaded with the corpses of its foes that it would be rapidly disposed of along with their lifeless bodies in the bin. A true show of cold, systematic death you witness, as you wonder if they truly deserved this, if it was truly justified for them to, even if indirectly, die by your hand, but always reach the ultimate conclusion that, regardless of merit, their hubris meant that this was bound to happen anyway. With a heavy conscience, you turn back to the corridor and make your way to the kitchen, both of which would be purged not long after. And somehow, these pests still decide to raid our apartment again! Oh, I sure do love the perks of living on the ground floor. I definitely won't move out anytime soon, Me and the ant colony became fierce enemies in a constant arms race to see who could outsmart the other. There was even one time when I was just casually playing Roblox, and I noticed an ant, and since it was just one, I let it slide and thought nothing of it. Half an hour later, boom, ants everywhere, on the floor, on my legs. They also insisted on storming Tashi's food bowl several times. Like, what did he do to you? How could you do this to my boy? As a countermeasure, they get wiped out every single time. Thankfully, I live in the first floor of my apartment complex now, so ants aren't a big problem anymore, and I don't care about them as much. I would say that an active war turning into a mere truce and some mild flashbacks is a pretty good improvement in diplomatic relations. Okay, that was long. Time to move on to another nation. These little critters will make anyone with any mild interest in zoology go, actually they're not insects. I think it's pretty common knowledge at this point, but good for you guys. If you haven't guessed already, I'm talking about spooters. Man, I just love these guys. Ew, spiders are yucky, you interject with your wrong opinion. Excuse me, spooters are unjustly vilified in our society. It is frankly astonishing how we could give way to such hate against these adorable goofballs. Like, come on, a small animal with 8 pretzel stick legs? That's the funniest thing I've ever seen. You know, whenever I find abhorrent statements like these, my course of action is to retaliate with something like, oh, you're just too weak to truly enjoy how cool spiders are. Because it's true. And you know what? Same goes for other things. Oh, you don't like pineapple on pizza? I guess you're just too weak to enjoy it. Wait, no. Besides that, I don't have much else to say except just kidding. Spiders are also awesome because they hunt the most awful insect and probably my least favorite animal, the mosquito. Man, it would just be so awesome to have a spider living in my room. I cannot truly express how frustrating it is to keep myself awake deep into the night just so I can find the 3 or so mosquitoes buzzing around in my room every summer. In exchange for their valuable service, I make sure to always give them shelter, peace, and protection from whomever decides to harm them. Diplomatic relations with the arachnids, BFFs, historical allies, international homies! Also, shout out to snails. They're not even in the same phylum as the rest of the animals on this list, but they still deserve an honorable mention. Very chill, very cool, I die inside every time I crush one. And thus, we finish our tour of the complex geopolitical web between me and the different arthropod nations. What do you think, viewer?
Call pest control.
My oh my, it sure was a wild 2 months making this video. First of all, thanks for taking your time to watch my latest work. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed it. Just don't expect anything this long to come out very soon, I guess. I personally like to finish new stuff within a reasonable time frame, you know. And speaking of stuff, I'd also like to give a big shout out to everyone who made fan art of me, including a lot of my animator buddies. Hey guys! Anywho, I'm pretty sure that's all for now, so I bid you farewell. Or in other words, see ya!